Hey guys, this is the first PowerPoint of the class. I'm going to go to it. It's called 10 Principles of Economics. Let me hide this. All right, so I'll let it load up here. All right, so as you see right there, it's like a disclaimer. Everything you learn in this class is a theory, and you need to take it as such. A lot of people take what we learn in this class as fact, as in 100% immutable, or I don't even know if that's the right word, but basically saying that what is said is 100% proven fact. It's not, it's theory. So supply and demand, those are all theories. And the theory that our book and the state standards follow is called the Neoclassical School of Economics. This is the most popular one in the United States. So that's a lot of what the theories that we talk about come from. But there are other schools of economics. There are, you've got neoclassical, you've got classical, you've got Austrian, you've got behavioral economics, which is becoming popular now, which kind of combines psychology with economics. A guy named Richard Thaler from the University of Chicago just won the Nobel Prize in economics using his behavioral economics theories. So what we do, though, in this class is majority neoclassical, but again, it's just a theory, so keep an open mind here. The main concept of economics is the idea of scarcity. There are limited resources, but people's wants are unlimited. And this guy right here, as Mr. Clifford, you can watch that video whenever you want. The idea here, though, when it comes to economics, is that we can't produce everything that people want. There's going to be scarcity. So economics itself is the study of how society manages its scarce resources. So how do we make decisions? Where do we work? What do we buy? How much do we save? How much do we invest? The idea that anytime you get a dollar, you can either spend it or you can save it. How does the government get involved? These are all parts of economics. These first two, let me see if I can get this. Here we go. Here's a laser pointer. These first two bullet points here, these are microeconomics. This is more on the small scale. It's individuals, individual firms. Whereas now we get to this, analyzing forces and trends. So GDP, unemployment, inflation, monetary, fiscal policy, all of that is macroeconomics. That's big picture stuff, as you see right there. So the first principle of economics is Tinstaffel. There is no such thing as a free lunch. Basically saying that we all face trade-offs. When you choose one thing, you refuse something else. So to choose is to refuse. How are we getting the maximum benefits from our scarce resources? What are we doing with these scarce resources? Let me go back. So the idea of efficiency and equality are all part of this. The idea that you spend $1 on, or here, you know what? Your brakes go out and you got to spend $500 to fix your brakes. Well, by spending $500 to fix your brakes, you're not spending that money somewhere else, like on a vacation or something. So you have to decide how you're going to spend your money. It's also time. So let's say that I say, okay, I'm going to provide free pizza for lunch tomorrow. Well, it's not free because you're still spending your time by coming up here, eating in this room, not being with whoever you want to be with. That's the idea of no such thing as a free lunch. Whatever you're doing, you're spending your time. Second thing is the cost of something. The cost of something is what you give up to get it. So that is called opportunity cost. So whatever it is you're giving up to get that item is the opportunity cost. This concept, guns and butter, is the idea that you as a government, not you, but the government can either spend money on national defense or on social programs. You can't spend it on both because when you spend money on guns, that means you're not spending it on butter and vice versa. So looking at you guys, what are the costs of going to college? Well, the actual costs of going to college would be your tuition, your room and board, your books, things like that. The costs of working out of high school. If you move out of your parents' house, it's going to be rent, car payment, things like that. But those are the regular costs. what are the opportunity costs? So if you go to college, let's say you go away to college, your opportunity cost would be the value of the next best thing. So if you had a job in high school and you go to college, well, however much money you're making that day or that for those 4 or 5 years, not seeing your family, not seeing your friends, cost of going to working out of high school. Well, not going to college. So you might be saving money in the short term by not making as much in the long run, depending on what job you take. Number three is think at the margin. Marginal means extra or additional. You're going to hear this a lot throughout the class. Marginal, marginal cost, marginal product, things like that means additional or extra. Here's one problem with our economic concept is that we assume that people are 100% rational. We are not 100% rational people. We do irrational things all the time. But in order for the theories to work, we have to assume that people are 100% rational. Cost-benefit analyses, I guess, would be used. Your extra benefit has to outweigh the extra cost for all of your decisions. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. So being here watching this means you did a cost-benefit analysis, and here you are paying attention and doing what you can do. We'll go through cost-benefit analyses a lot more later. People respond to incentives. Incentives are something that makes you act. So what is your incentive to come to school? A lot of people would say, well, you want to get good grades so you can graduate. Why? So you can go to college so you can get a better job. Well, that's an incentive. What's your incentive to come to class on time? Well, you don't want to get a tardy because you don't want a detention. That's still an incentive. With incentives come unintended consequences. So seatbelt laws. The idea here is, hey, let's incentivize people to wear their seatbelts. How do we incentivize them? Well, there's a couple ways. Number one, you can just give them a ticket if they're not driving, if they don't have their seatbelt on. Number two, and this is more psychology based, there's that annoying beeping sound when you're not wearing your seatbelt. It goes until you buckle up. When you buckle up, it goes away. That incentivizes you to wear your seatbelt. An unintended consequence, it was interesting that after seatbelt laws came into effect, car accidents went up. Why? Probably because people felt safer, which meant that they drove faster, which meant that they were driving unsafe. So there are unintended consequences. Trade can make everyone better off. Voluntary trade, you give something that you don't want that much to get something you do want, and you're going to find a trade partner. That's basic stuff there. How do we get economic activity and trade? We use markets. So individuals are making these decisions. Adam Smith is a guy, he wrote the book called Wealth of Nations, and it came with this idea of the invisible hand of the market, saying that people are self-interested and they will do anything they can mainly for their own self-interests. But by working towards their own self-interest, it ends up helping society in the long run. The idea here is pretty much saying you can't have a job that doesn't help other people in some way. Even if you look at the richest people in the world, they're providing a service that people want, which in turn, even though they're doing it for their own self-interest, it ends up helping society. Government can going back here, this would be your supply and demand that we'll get into for a while. Number 7 would be government can improve market outcomes. So if something's going wrong, the government can step in and help. They limit monopolies. They're supposed to limit monopolies and kind of keep an eye open and make sure that consumers are being treated well. Number 8, I didn't write anything about because I don't necessarily agree with it. A country's standard of living depends on its ability to produce goods and services. Okay. Number 9, prices go up when governments print too much money. That's been proven that it's probably going to happen. Inflation goes way too much. It's called the quantity of money theory, and you can't just print money. This is what happened in Zimbabwe in 2008. The recession hit here. It actually hit worldwide, and Zimbabwe is like, well, you know what? Let's just print some cash. That'll be good. But by printing more money and having no reason to print that money means that prices skyrocketed. They went up hundreds and hundreds of percent per day. And inflation is the general rise in prices. So inflation didn't just hit, it was hyperinflation. And really, whenever there's too much money out there, that's what's going to happen. Then number 10, society faces a short-run trade-off between inflation and unemployment, meaning when inflation goes up, unemployment will go down. And when inflation goes down, unemployment will go up. It's true. All right, and that's it. Sorry about the little interruption in the middle, but now you're good for this lesson. See ya. Oh, nope, not see ya yet. I got to find the log off button here. Where is it? Is it this? There we go. Okay, now bye.